Constantly shifting through the time-space continuum, Metron's three disciples observe the universe from the Mobius Couch.
We come to this place for magic. We come to the Mobius Couch to laugh, to cry, to care, because we need that, all of us. That indescribable feeling we get when the lights begin to dim and we go somewhere we've never been before. Not just entertained, but somehow reborn together on the Mobius Couch. Ladies and gentlemen of the world, welcome to the Mobius Couch. I've said that 12 times. It's a time-space interdimensional vehicle from which your three hosts survey the world of comics and comic book movies and just related media. We're here. I'm Alessandro, one of your hosts. And joining me, as usual, are Joe.
Oh, hey. Hey, Al.
Hey there. And Patrick.
Hey, Al. Hey, Joe. How's everyone doing?
Hey,
I'm a Mobius
Patty.
We're all doing great. I think the real problem is we talk to each other for 30 minutes before we start recording,
we've already said
so we
hi,
don't
so it's
actually have a...
very insincere.
Yeah, we don't actually have a greeting to go to.
Very insincere hellos.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we get to today's comic, which is Mark Waid and Dan Mora's World's Finest, little preview, didn't want to bury the lead. Before we get to that, on a serious note, this is coming out way after the fact, but we're recording this about a week and a half after Akira Toriyama died, the creator of Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
And I just want to make a note because he's maybe the most influential comic creator of all time. I don't know. I mean, his influence on manga and American comics and anime and American film and everything is just basically, you cannot overstate how important this man was to the media we grew up with. Pat, your generation, my generation, across the world, like Dragon Ball Z is basically a common touchstone we've all seen and everything. So just that's a big
when I
loss.
say, make room for the new guys,
Oof. That is cold.
No, I'm kidding. No, but that's amazing. And of course, the influence is felt now.
Influence is felt all the way to the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. There's a Goku balloon. Also, fun story about Patrick Walsh. I was on the wrestling team in high school, and I quit wrestling because Toonami had finally gotten the new episodes of Dragon Ball Z.
Like, it comes on at 4:30. I need to be home.
It did come on at 4:30 or 5, I think, or something like that. And I was missing
it was like
episode.
I think it was 4:30. I mean, it might have been 5. I don't know.
Because I had to go to practice every day, and I quit specifically so I could see the Cell Saga.
It's amazing. Also, kids listening to this podcast. First of all, we say fuck a lot, and you shouldn't be listening to this. Second of all, there was a time before TV was readily available at your fingertips. You had to be in front of the television at a specific time to watch something.
You did, yeah.
Yeah.
A story about me, I didn't wrestle or do any physical activity, and I just could watch Dragon Ball Z without having to quit.
My mom was furious with me. She was furious. If Ellen were to be listening to this podcast right now, she would be pissed off 30 years later. I don't know how
she'd still be thinking about it.
Yeah. And just to hammer this point home even more, Patrick's little... Well, if you're listening to this, you don't see this, but on YouTube, Patrick's little name in his speech bubble is Fusion Ha, which is... It's referenced in World's Finest when Superman and Batman fuse, but it's a Dragon Ball Z thing. Yeah, Fusion is. Yeah. So I just wanted to bring that up because just giant force in the comic book world. Died.
My memory, I think I really loved Dragon Ball Z specifically because it was just like that daily. It was the closest thing to like a soap opera that I would have watched. Like it was just this like really, really, really long form storytelling, and at the time I was kind of unused to that. And I just really enjoyed just like soaking in for 30 minutes just while they're forming an energy ball above their heads for 25 minutes, and then just be like,
that is true.
That was amazing. And it just like the coming back every day and having new material to watch in terms of American cartoons is relatively rare at the time. There was a lot of reruns. They make like 25-ish episodes a season. Then it was like, you'd have to wait forever. So it was just constantly replaying. So when especially when Cartoon Network started doing it really for the mass audience, it was awesome. It was a really fun.
So I started watching DBZ way back, and it was on UPN on Saturday mornings, and they only had the episodes that went up to the Namek saga when Goku started fighting the Ginyu Force. Like it's the episode where he re-arrives on Namek with his little spaceship and is about to fight the Ginyu Force. Was the last episode, and then it would just restart from there.
Oh no!
It was years until it got on Toonami, and then they brought in new episodes.
Because it would always end with Jason Birder trying to attack him, and he'd be moving so fast. And then
it looked like he was still, but then they looked at his footprints, and you saw the movement to show how fast he was. Yeah, it was classic.
There was so many like cool little subtle things like that in that show to show like power and how strong or how powerful someone was. It was really awesome. The nuances.
Weighted clothing was, Rock Lee did that in Naruto. I mean, the whole, having martial arts tournaments as an arc is everything from Yu Yu Hakusho to Naruto to whatever have all done that kind of stuff. I mean, you can't overstate the influence.
I miss Adult Swim and Toonami.
I think it's in the past. We should let young people do things now, right? Fuck old people.
Get it. Yeah,
Toonami's still going on. I don't know what his real name is. I just follow him on Twitter, but his Twitter handle is Spiral Curse DeMarco. And I'm like, this guy had like a huge X.
You mean X?
Twitter, whatever it's called.
Zitter. I refuse.
Zitter.
X.
Is it Zitter?
Shitter. Yeah.
No, but the other day
What's the website of X?
Is it X.com now?
It's Twitter.com.
No way. I'm going to go to X.com. No, it's 100% X.com. X.com redirects to Twitter.com, but yeah, so it is.
Yeah,
it is both.
It's Twitter.com.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Stop. We got to talk about World's Finest. We've got to talk about World's Finest.
That was a little bit of a tangent. No, Akira. That was a good seg. That was a good.
Well, we had to pay homage.
You have to acknowledge it
to the memory. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we're talking about World's Finest, issues 1 through 5, the story arc, The Devil Nezha, by Mark Waid, Dan Mora. This is Batman and Superman teaming up. I know what you're thinking. Aren't they famous for fighting each other? They are, but they also team up sometimes. And this is the team up, not them fighting each other.
What's your overall take, Al? Or do you want to keep talking about the book in general?
I enjoyed this. It's just kind of old school
letter grade
fun.
At this point. We're doing letter grades now, apparently.
I just enjoy it. It's just classic comics. Like, they're heroes. They fight bad guys. Everybody looks hot and is beautiful and awesome, and they beat the shit out of bad guys. And there's adventure. You don't have to think about it. You just don't think about anything. Don't think. Just
about
look.
I think that's
just look. Colors, movement,
perfect description.
Yeah. Don't think. Shh. Don't think.
All the heroes are just randomly thrown in.
Yeah.
At times, everyone looks exactly the same in a good way.
Yeah, because they're all perfect, beautiful bodies.
In a good way. It's just classic superhero art.
Yeah.
It's just classic.
Everybody's over 18. I'm sure Supergirl's over 18. Everyone's 18. I don't think
Robin's over 18.
But everyone looks great, and just don't think of it. Just enjoy it. Read it. Colors, movement, Evil Dead. Just don't think. And I really enjoyed it.
I picked this up mainly because I kept seeing like clips of it or just snips of it on, and I was like, what is this story? Because I haven't, I don't frequent the comic shop. I'm very digital these days, unfortunately, but so I don't see new stuff all the time. And I was just like, what is that art and why is this storyline? And I didn't realize how long it had been going on. So I was like, I got to read this book because it looks good. It just looks like good old fashioned superhero fun. And I was not disappointed. I give it an A, maybe not an A+, but an A.
We don't do letter grades till the end.
No, sure we do. Do it right now.
No, you're breaking all the rules, Joe.
At any rate, I really loved it. My overall take is just, again, Al said it perfectly. It's just good, stupid superhero fun. You don't have to think. It's just like, oh, Batman's here. There's a thing. He's classic Batman. Superman's here. It's classic Superman. Robin is inexplicably Dick Grayson. It says several years ago, but it's very vague, and I'm pretty sure they have cell phones, so none of it makes sense.
Oh wait, is it really Dick Grayson? I assumed it was Tim for some reason.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow, I was not paying attention. I thought that was Tim the whole time.
It's supposed to be like early on in their like careers essentially.
Was not paying attention. Okay, that's fine. It's Dick. That's fine.
I mean, there's the whole bit about him wearing pants now.
I don't. Again, my brain was turned off for this whole thing.
I mean, that's fine.
And I enjoyed it. That led me to enjoy it.
Kind of, we touched on it in our Nightwing episode, but like the relationship between Dick and Superman has always been interesting to me. Like it's kind of hero worship on Dick's part in terms of like he's a real superhero. And Batman's like, fuck you, I'm a real superhero, you know, kind of thing. But like, and also Dick's a real superhero too. So it's like why is he so awestruck by Superman? But they have like this wholesome, you know, connection, and it's really fun to see, and it's just kind of transports me back to a time when I was reading comics when I was a kid. So like it's just a fun story, and it just reminds me of reading comics when I was a kid when they would team up and shit. So I really enjoyed it. And again, like Al was saying, the plot, who cares? They're fighting a bad guy, you know. Stuff's happening, but like yeah, it's really enjoyable. And the art's spectacular. I really love the dynamic like way he draws the action sequences, and just a still shot of Batman and Robin there's one on the screen right now, but like of Batman and Robin jumping over the side of the building, like they're very dynamically posed, and Robin's always got like a little bit of more flair to the way he's jumping, which kind of just, so there's little nuances to how he draws each character, even though they're all kind of cookie cutter superhero style art. But I really enjoy it. It's really fun. It's really fun new takes on the old versions of their costumes. A little bit more with Batman and Robin, but less than Superman. But you know, just stuff like that. It was really good. And Mark Waid's he just delivers a really solid like arc with no fluff. It's just straight to the point. The story moves at a very fast pace, so you're not kind of going like, "Oh, figure it out already." It's just it just keeps going, and it's a fun adventure.
Yeah, the pace moves as fast as he is to anger. Apparently, his anger management issue. That's something Patrick
allegedly.
According to
Pats, what was your reaction to the?
I mean, honestly, the same as y'all. It was, don't overthink it. I'm a huge fan of the art. I don't know much about Dan Mora at all. I don't think any of us
he
really does.
He drew comics in the Buffyverse, according to some Google AI response.
Okay.
But
he's really new to my understanding, but not wildly so. But like I think this might be like one of the first quote unquote big books he's done in terms of characters.
Does he
like getting your hands on Superman, Batman, and Dick Grayson's pretty big, but
it's fun.
Yeah,
it's a quick read. It's he does the inks as well. He does the pencils and the inks. His art is kind of, I think, what really nailed it for me. The story's fun, but like Al said, don't overthink it. It's a bad guy, time travel. Don't overthink it. The thing that stood out to me the most was what Al brought up with Dragon Ball Z when we get the fusion between Batman and Superman. I don't know if I've ever actually seen. I'm sure it's probably been done before, but I don't think I've ever actually seen it done. And I thought that was very cool.
I think it happened in Batman and Superman a long time ago.
Maybe, yeah. But like I enjoyed this. I used to read Batman and Superman back in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, and I enjoyed this more than those books. I mean, Jeff Loeb was pretty good on that, but yeah, it's just a very solid, fun story. Easy read, lots happening, plots moving fast, and it's just very much focused on Batman and Superman's friendship. And there's moments of vulnerability with Batman when Superman. There's a few scenes where Superman like could potentially die, and they make a point to focus on Batman's facial expressions and
he's
when
actually
Superman
upset
screams in a certain way.
And not just stoic and going all the time.
And then when there's a scene where Superman Metallo messes up Superman pretty bad, and Batman can tell by the way that Superman screamed that like it's something serious. So there's a lot of fun stuff. It's not something like something killing the children that made me want to invest in the entire character history and all that stuff. It's just
not
nice,
at all
fun read. It was a fun read,
but it's it's such a good fun page turner. Like unlike I think Pat or Al, you just read the first 5 issues that we're covering tonight. By the way, we're covering issues 1 through 5, just the first arc. But when I was reading it, I wasn't reading for the show. I just was like, I picked it up because I thought the art looked awesome, and I'd been kind of in the back of my mind for a while. And I was like, I'm just gonna grab this book. But I tore through it. I got up to like 20 or so, whatever they were on at the time. And right now I'm current at like 25 or whatever. But it's just a fun, fast-paced read. So like I read the whole thing so quickly, you know, and I'm like, wow, I'm glad I was 2 years late on this book because I got to read a lot of it really fast. But, you know, it speaks to how simple the plot is in a way that you don't really need to like be like, what's going on? It's just fun to read what's happening next. Like you just want to see what's going on next kind of thing. It's a real page turner.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is classic. You know, Waid's written DC characters a long time. He did Kingdom Come with
Waid is
Alex Ross. Did he do the art
responsible
of
for
Kingdom
me loving Wally West in the Flash semi. He was the main
so he did a lot
of
of
Flash back in Wally's real heyday kind of thing.
Yeah, so he's been a DC writer for a long time, and also even going back to Kingdom Come with Alex Ross, like he's always done these very kind of like silver and golden age reminiscent atmospheres and storylines, like classic superhero work and that kind of stuff. So this is just right in that wheelhouse. But let's jump in. Issue 1. Let's jump in. So I wanted to make one point because Ivy attacks Metropolis, and there's a shot of like Lois Lane here in the bottom, on the left. The next page is Ivy. And these are the first 2 pages, and these are just like the most classically beautiful people I've ever seen them. I mean, just the art automatically jumped out as like, I'm going to just get classically perfect looking people. On every page.
If you look under Jimmy's hand in the background, there is quite a homely looking woman back there. I mean, it's just because it's Lois we're talking about. Of course, she looks.
Everybody is perfect.
It's Poison Ivy. Of course, she looks great.
The thing I want to talk about: Ivy's shoes. Robin's shoes, same brand, bitches. I don't know why I said bitches, but like they look a little less same, leaf, right? They're both pixie shoes. They're both pixie shoes.
I like that Robin put on pants, but he still has the pixie boots on, and maybe
he's got a little.
I really do love as a Robin fan, part of the draw to this was that it wasn't just World's Finest with Batman and Superman. They're throwing in Supergirl and Robin, and also, it's Dick Grayson, so it's just classic Robin story. So I'm just like, woo! I was like immediately like, I'm loving this. This is the greatest thing ever, kind of thing.
We also get immediately
Mora's take on Robin was just like a little bit like, come on, at some point he'd wear pants, right? Come on, like it wasn't like, I don't know. They're not so hindered by like it has to be like this. His costume has to be like this, kind of thing. And Supergirl even mentions it at some point. He's like, yeah, I'm wearing pants now. All right. Like I'm trying it out or whatever.
We also get a lot of sort of like Shibari tying people up play with like Ivy's doing it with her plants. Batman ties her up with his rope. A lot of like bondage stuff going on really early on both sides, like bondage on bondage. Yeah. I did want to mention, so another villain who shows up right away is Metallo, and in the 90s Superman cartoon, he was my favorite villain.
He's
in
so
that cartoon.
good.
I thought he was really cool in that because he'd always talk about how he was like, I can't feel anything, I can't smell, touch, or feel anything, and like the
Lex kind of
frustration
tricks him into
becoming
it.
a cyborg man.
Yeah.
But anyway, loved seeing Metallo again because he was
that
one
episode where he's like at the bottom of the ocean or something, and they're like,
and he talked about how he'd spent the past year just walking on the ocean to get back,
back to the shoreline or whatever. I mean, we were probably misremembering that, but it was something like that.
But I think that was it. Like in an earlier episode, Superman like sank him to the sea to beat him. And then the next episode,
well, I mean, he didn't do it on purpose. I remember now. It was like something like they were on like an oil platform of some sort in the middle of the ocean, and it kind of ripped apart, or he blew it up, or whatever, and then got like caught in the wreckage and he sank. And Superman didn't take 5 minutes to go down to the bottom of the water.
Well, it's so long. It's deep.
He's like, he's got a kryptonite heart,
Yeah, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with that right now. But the next episode Metallo's in is he just had spent like a year walking along the ocean floor to get back to the coastline. It's pretty crazy.
So he really goes after Superman fast. So Ivy says we early on, and there's a this kind of like the Grant Morrison Justice League does like a really solid but way more subtle way of like kind of being like Batman's awesome, Batman's awesome, Batman's awesome. Like kind of just like every once in a while he'll just be like, I noticed that, and like that's kind of. It kind of comes, to a head at the end of the arc, kind of thing. Like, because Superman's like, I counted on Batman noticing something, like I think it was a good plan, or whatever. But Metallo really goes after Superman right away and stabs him. One, he's weakened from the green kryptonite of his heart, but then so he can stab him with a syringe, but he stabs him with a cocktail of like red kryptonite, which always has a varying different effect on Superman. And I guess they're like, hey, if we hit him with like 4 or 5 different pieces of kryptonite all at once, that's red, that all have different effects on him, it's really going to fuck him up, kind of thing. So that's kind of the impetus of this issue, of the arc, but that the thing that's very subtle, that's really not hinted at first, or rather only hinted at, is that the demon Nezha is the one that's like manipulating or telling the villains what to do, kind of thing.
I did like how the demon Nezha was as into branding as Batman is, because he puts his logo like on the syringe that Metallo has to put the red kryptonite.
They're like, what is this symbol?
Yeah, and
like, make sure
my symbols
right on that
everywhere.
Yeah.
I also, this goes back to me having my brain off. I think around issue 3, I realized it was not Trigon, but was a different red-horned devil.
It is not Trigon, yeah.
That is kind of my one, going back to not overthinking it, the villain was kind of whatever to me. I wasn't like
this one, but in terms of getting us into the arc,
I liked
into the book. It was fun. It was a fun throwaway villain, I guess, and it was at least the idea of like how they would capture this villain was fun too. But
I liked the villain's
for me, the book
origin.
really takes off after this arc. Like that's where I'm like really like, ooh, I'm invested now. Like kind of thing. Like this was a fun arc. Don't get me wrong, but like this is definitely just a first like, let's just tell a quick story and get everybody's feet wet with the world's finest and what it's going to be like, kind of thing.
I did like the villain Nezha's like origin. I thought was actually kind of cool. Like his father had basically given up everything to resurrect him, and then he just was kind of like, well, I don't want to be poor and useless. This is dumb. And he just became evil and conquered the whole world. Like I mean,
like it was Lord Ozai and Zuko.
Oh my gosh, there's so much Avatar in this.
Yeah. Oh, there's the Warriors of G. Yeah,
but I was like, the guy, the Kingdom of G or whatever it's called. Later on when they go back and where Robin and Supergirl go back in time.
Yeah, it's all Avatar.
There's time travel in this. That's just right out the gate. It's just like, oh yeah, we got time travel. They just do whatever they need to do. It's pure superhero art.
You can't overthink it.
Yeah, it's just like they just go, and like Robin even goes like, "How the fuck are we doing this?" And she's like, "I'm looking at the Tachyon stream. We're gonna follow the sword back through time." And he's like, okay."
Also, but I mean, Joe, I have to specify because our listeners may not be aware. We're not talking about James Cameron's Avatar or James Cameron's Avatar: The Way of Water, which are of course 2 of the 3 highest-grossing films of all time and very culturally relevant. We're talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender, which is a niche cartoon. We're not talking about
Pocahontas in space. Yeah. We're talking about
Avatar: The Last Airbender, which is a niche Nickelodeon cartoon that our listeners probably have never heard of. But it deals with elemental magics and things like that.
Especially not since the new Netflix live action just came out.
Yeah, nobody. But I just, because everybody knows Avatar, James Cameron's Avatar.
I got
much more culturally relevant.
I have a question for you guys, though. So after Superman is stabbed in the heart with red kryptonite, there are 2 shadowy figures.
Yeah.
And one says excellent, now the fun begins, and the other says they have no idea what's in store. One apparently is the demon Nezha. Is the other one Metallo? No,
he's the hooded wizard guy from later.
Yeah, it's
Felix Faust?
Faust, yeah, Felix Faust. Yeah.
That doesn't look like Felix Faust silhouette at all.
Yeah, it does.
All.
Look at that. That's definitely Faust from the back.
He's off fighting.
Look at him from the back.
That's just a head.
No way.
Look at him from the back, dude. That's Faust.
No other villain comes into play.
How is that Faust?
It's definitely
Who is
Faust.
That's an excellent question. You know what, Patty? It's not explained. And I agree with you. It is vague. And it's not explained. I do really like in issue 1, while this is happening, there is like a really quick flashback to like one of the first times that they ever worked together, Superman and Batman. And it's the classic Batman or Superman wearing Batman's costume, and then he gets hit by lightning, and he's like, "Ha, it's me, Superman, tricked ya," kind of thing. And I'm just like, I fucking just and Robin, of course, is like chained above a vat of acid or whatever, like kind of thing. Like, and it's just the classic old comic story of like Robin's captured, Batman has to save him, Superman's there doing something stupid. Like they might as well just had like multicolored costumes going on. Like it looked like it was like straight out of a comic that my dad read, basically. You know, like kind of like from the 60s or the 50s. You know, like it's just pure like old silliness that I'm just like, I fucking loved that.
Yeah, I have a question for you two nerds.
Yeah.
How did he get a T-Rex into his Batcave? Because that's in all the Batcaves. There's a T-Rex.
It's a classical Batman story where it was a mechanical Tyrannosaurus Rex that he fought, and then I guess he disassembled it. How do you get the Batmobile into the Batcave? You know?
Well, through a waterfall. You jump through the waterfall when you're in there.
Depends on when you're talking. Sometimes it's just a road covered with leaves.
He'd probably just
remote controlled it in, just stomped it in. Right?
Yeah, sometimes you just drive Vicky Bale straight at a wall, and then suddenly that garage door goes up real fast. You know, like it's real fast because you're like, she screams and closes her eyes, and then she opens her eyes, and you're already inside.
All right, let's fast forward.
Yeah,
so the kryptonite starts affecting.
I was just gonna say back to Joe's point about them switching costumes. Like the Penguin hires people from Cord who have harnessed lightning. And it's like he thought it was Batman. Like that would have killed Batman 100%.
Oh, Penguin! Yeah, Penguin was. I mean,
that's fucking around.
Yeah, he wasn't. He was like, "Get him!" It's like, "This is our chance." You're like, "Holy shit, Penguin! You got dark."
Well, Penguin's a gangster. He's not like the Joker. That's like, I need you and you need me, and we can never kill you. Penguin's more of like, I'm a businessman. I'll kill you.
Also, there's just a real. So the point of touching on that scene, or I guess you could say the point of it is just to like really quickly establish that because Batman at the end of it is like, "Hey, Superman, I know we don't know each other very well, but you really had my back, and thank you." You know, like, and it's just like this weird, genuine moment from Batman because you don't get that like
look at that handshake
Batman in current comics often. You know, it's usually like, "I'm really hard."
Look at that handshake. They're both hard, but look at that handshake. Look at that.
It was my honor. You do the same for me, right? Always. You know, it's just touching little. Hey, we've been friends, for a long time, and we always will. We're the world's finest.
Well, they do
also notice in this flashback, Robin is in his boxer briefs.
He's a little guy right there. I mean, this is clearly early because he's like 10 max.
Yeah.
That one shot of him standing next to Batman after he's like, "Hey, did that get you all the time you needed?" And Batman's like, "Yeah, it did." And Robin's like dropping the rope, like, "I'm already untied," kind of thing. It was a little. He's like
how young he is.
You mean how Batman constricted a 9-year-old?
We could do an entire episode about the Batman and Robin and is it okay? And I'm always going to go with yes, it is. So I mean, I'm not on board with the Batman's a child endangerment.
No, also, if anything, Batman's smart. Like, because what you got to do, you have a kid, hire the child in your LLC. You pay him a salary that you then invest in a tax-deferred HSA or education account.
Yep.
And because it's not a gift, it doesn't get taxed like a gift. You can defer the taxes on it, and you just pay them. You pay them on salary every month. And when that kid's 18, he's going to have millions of dollars in his name.
The whole point of Dick Grayson is tax evasion.
That's it. 100%.
I do like touching on Dan Mora's art as we go through this whole arc. I love the Batman 1989 bat symbol he has, like, for no reason whatsoever. Like, that's never in the comics. Like, the two little extra spikes at the bottom, that's straight out of the 89 movie. They've never used that ever before.
I've never heard that.
It's a very, very subtle detail that I was like,
did notice it didn't have the yellow circle around it, but
yeah. Well, I mean, I just really like Batman and Robin's utility belts. Like, even Robin's, which was classically like very plain and just had the little capsules on it, has like around the back, he has like ropes and the grappling gun hanging on there, and his staff that like extends, and like they've got all kinds of gear and shit hanging off the back of their belts and shit. And I really like the old school look of their belts and their equipment in this. Even though it's like, even though they have cell phones and it doesn't make any sense, but like, it's kind of fun in the, like, I don't have this super cool, like, sleek bat rope grappling hook gun. I just have this big bulky thing that I like shoot off, and the rope's constantly hanging down behind my belt. But,
they've also got lollipops and smoke grenades in the same pouch. But
yeah, that's not smart. You should separate those.
All right, let's move on because we just need to move on. We're still
So apparently, red kryptonite turns Superman into steel.
Well, and stone, right? Doesn't it become stone? I think it turns them into different elements. Doesn't he
Jimmy
become
Olsen
stone at one
said,
point?
"My God, he's literally a man.
He's literally a man of steel because he does turn into steel. But that's not.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, that's
red
not
kryptonite
stone.
affects Superman differently every time he's around it.
I see.
That's the whole idea. That's why he's fighting General Zod and Lex Luthor in his mind. That's like what it's just affecting him. It's just fucking him up. Let's put it that way.
But lucky for them, when the red kryptonite starts taking over, they're saved by the Doom Patrol.
Yeah, Batman.
The world's strangest heroes.
Is that how it sounds?
I don't. It sounds like old time radio.
The
for
Doom Patrol arrives on the scene.
I will never not hate that.
Oh my god!
Oh yeah, here it is. Look, it's written right here.
Yeah.
It's written right there. The press calls them the Doom Patrol.
I really liked the Superman goes crazy scene where he's fighting people that aren't there. There's little callbacks. Like there's a quick panel where Batman's like he's hallucinating. Like we have to figure out how to contain this really quickly. But the panel of Superman is him throwing the car, and it's like the classic Superman #1 cover of like the green car above his head kind of thing. And it's just
I wrote
in there, but I was like, that's a fun little Easter egg.
I made a note of that too. It's this panel because it rather than in the original comic book, he's of course saving someone. There's criminals in the car
filled with gangsters.
But in this one, he's using it. Right, but in this one, he's using it to attack people. So it's like reversal of the imagery of him stopping crime, and in this one, he's using a car to hurt people. So that was a cool.
No, again, the original one is him hurting people. I don't know what you're talking about.
I thought there were gangsters inside, and he was like lifting it up to shake them out of it or something.
No, he's lifting up a car with gangsters inside to smash that car on the ground with them in it.
I take it back. So it's just a direct callback to him being violent with a car, and he's still being violent.
Exactly. But
my mistake. I assumed Superman would help people, but I forget. This is a Zack Snyder world where he just has never helped anyone.
Yeah,
it's just always been a violent.
Speaking of like the little callbacks, though, the Lex uniform is very 1980s, like superpowers, Lex armor, super suit he's in. Even though you only see him for like a second, but it was really fun. Like.
And he fights the Zod gang.
Classic 80s version of the costume. It's not like, and I don't even think it was in the comics. I think it was just the Super Friends, or even maybe just the toy. But yeah, it was pretty fun. And then Batman stops him by just trusting that Superman won't kill him, which is insane. Because Robin's like, "Don't worry, he has a plan." And they're like, "How do you know?" And he's like, "He's Batman." And then his plan's just like, "I'm just gonna let him not kill me. I think he won't kill me."
I did like that when Superman is on the red kryptonite and he freaks out and flies away, and Batman's like, "Robin, Jimmy, follow Superman," and Robin's like, "Follow Superman?
Follow the guy to the guy that can't fly? Like, fuck you."
And then somehow inexplicably Jimmy Olsen is the one who catches up to Superman. I don't know.
Well, Robin gets distracted saving the guy from the helicopter.
Well, going back to Don't Overthink It, Negative Man, or whatever his name, Larry Traynor, the Negative Man, can somehow just absorb Superman's evil energy
the kryptonite
and control it. So don't think about it.
From the kryptonite.
But he can do it.
He absorbs radiation, I think. That's his whole thing, I think. Yeah, I don't know the Doom Patrol super well.
I did like the way the issue ended with them bringing Superman to Doom Patrol headquarters. And is it Calder? Is he the guy? Is he the professor?
Yeah, Professor.
I like how creepy he is. I do enjoy how DC's just like, this guy's a fucking weirdo.
He is very
the Doom Patrol is basically X-Men, right? They came out around the same time.
Yeah, he's like Professor X. He's like a morally dubious sort of piece of shit guy.
Well, but he's more clearly a piece of shit. Like, why don't they just do that with Professor X?
Well, I think they're finally
they've done it. He's clearly a piece of shit.
They've done it over and over again.
But I think
but Cyclops and Jean Grey never seem to remember. It bothers me.
Well, that's what I kind of love, how Rita Woman or whatever her name is, she's like, "The doctor will see you now," and she's all cheerful looking, and then it cuts to the doctor and he's all somber and he's got a bunch of kryptonite laced like
surgical tools
and stuff.
Yeah. You're like, how long? You've had those though.
That's right. Yes.
Like you didn't just make those. Like, you've had those ready. Yeah, that's.
I think it is revealed that he actually is the one who caused all of the accidents that gave the Doom Patrol members their powers.
Yeah, and like he also fucked with Beast Boy. I think he made Beast Boy.
Beast Boy was on Doom Patrol like initially. I think.
Yes,
and when he moved over to Teen Titans, that was like not a big deal or anything, but he moved from there to Teen Titans.
Calder's really messed up. And is also also in a wheelchair, so yet another Professor X similarity.
Yes, there's a lot of similarities between those two teams. Apparently, I was reading today.
Tell you what, Calder has a much healthier head of hair.
That's true.
And beard. Just really laying it on thick that he has hair and Xavier doesn't.
He's really just displaying it.
So issue 2 starts with them cutting open Superman's chest, and Calder is telling Robot Man to split the ribcage, hold the ribcage open while he accesses the heart, which is kind of crazy.
He basically uses Robot Man as just the clamps that would hold him, like in regular surgery. He's like, just hold your hands here and don't move. And since you're a robot, I know you won't slip.
I know we've mentioned how everyone's perfect, but I just don't want to bury the lead. Like, you want to talk about a Snyder Zeus? Look at Superman. I mean, that is just chiseled from Marvel. Like, perfect symmetry.
Of course he's perfectly symmetrical. It's Superman.
Yeah, it's just a better looking human.
One of my favorite beats from the entire 5 issues was when Batman and Robin are watching them operate on Superman, and is her name Elasti-Woman, or am I getting that confused with The Incredibles?
No, it's Elasta something. It is Elasta something.
You're confusing it with The Incredibles. I don't think her name is
Rita shows up and she goes, "How is?" And then Robin goes, "Ha!" It's like, you're around Batman all the time. You must do that all the time. It doesn't faze you. And then when she does it, he's like,
she's like, "You seem on edge, Robin." I love that scene because it's a quick Robin's like, "Lady, I'm in a creepy old mansion full of walking mummies, taxidermied aliens, and giant eyeballs floating in jars." And then it's like a pause, and it goes, "Yeah, you heard me. I've seen the basement." Like, as in, like, he's just been like fucking off, like, while this is going on. Like, let me investigate real quick.
They also Rita. It's Elastic Woman. Is Rita.
Elastic.
But so she also is looking at them, and Batman is staring down at naked Superman smiling. And she goes, "Is Batman smiling?" And Robin goes, "Yeah, it happens." So that's kind of an interesting exchange. Right here. He's just looking down at shirtless Superman smiling.
I think that was, I feel like you're trying too hard there. But there is one.
It literally says Batman smiling. And he says, yeah.
Yeah, I know. But he's smiling because his friend's alive. You sick fuck.
I think so. His friend was alive before and he wasn't smiling.
With Supergirl, where she's like, "I love him too," and he's like, "All right, go." I'm like, "Oh, Batman, you love Superman."
Right. But then here we get the background. So the professor tells him the background of the devil. So he was a Chinese warlord's son who died, and then the warlord
was the son of
which again,
Ozai, I think.
Don't overthink the story, because it just so happens the random superheroes Batman called to help have also dealt directly with the people who hired Poison Ivy and Metallo. And they're like, "Yes, we know everything about this mysterious character. Here is his sword."
Yeah, did you not know?
Well, he has a little parchment roll.
Yeah,
he's got it.
He
just put that out of nowhere.
He had it right next to his kryptonite tools.
You need to know about the Devil Nezha? Here's some exposition for you. There's no slowing down the pace. That's the key. Like, if there's a piece
you don't have time to breathe.
Piece of plot to get worked out, they happen to be in front of the people that have that piece of information exactly when they need it. The pace just keeps fucking rolling through. It's a goddamn train rolling through the station. Like, don't stop it. I love how Batman is like the professor's like, "Do you know this story?" And he's like, "Of course I do." And then he's like, "Well, I'll tell you anyway." And he's like, "Well, I already know it." I mean, there's just like, they're constantly just like really quickly, just curtly speaking to each other. It's really funny.
I wish the professor had tested him, like, "All right, well then you tell it." And Batman's like,
He's like, I didn't know. I mean, I read that last year for sure.
Why don't we both start it at the same time and say it? Because we both know the story.
When we...
In ancient China, there was... Yeah. Okay, but so it was an ancient Chinese warlord. He died, and so his dad gave up worldly possessions to bring him back to life, and the son was mad that they were poor, and then he became the devil.
Real shallow.
Classic Classic. Tale as old as time.
Just zero empathy for this villain. Just immediately like, wow, he's pure villain. Okay, got it.
He'd rather be dead than poor is basically what his drive is.
Yeah, just like any normal American would feel the same.
Yeah, that's true.
So they quickly realize that they have to cover two different, plot threads. And Robin and Supergirl go one way. Supergirl's brought in at this point. Robin and Supergirl go one way, and Batman and Superman go the other. Which I thought was interesting, because you're just like, why don't you just... never mind. Why not Batman and Robin? Never mind. Not going to overthink that. But I love that. I actually do like... You can think of it on one hand as like them throwing Robin and Supergirl at like a problem that seems rather large is kind of rather irresponsible. But at the same time, it's kind of cool how much faith they have in them. So it's like you can kind of look at it both ways, but they really just kind of go like, yeah, go travel through time, kids. We'll see you on the other side, kind of thing. And you're just like, holy shit, you're going to the random city to help a kid?
Yeah.
And you sent them, the kids, back through time.
Yeah,
it's God knows what.
It's not good parenting.
I was like, wow, okay.
I did enjoy seeing a Robin Supergirl team up though, because
Robin and Supergirl team up was great, and I love the immediate, yeah.
My one complaint, and this happens both times, because both when Supergirl flies Robin and when Superman flies Batman, I wish they would have picked Robin and Batman up like
little
Lois
babies.
Lane gets picked
like
up,
a little baby,
Like in a...
No, I loved the fact they held them by the armpits. That was like my favorite part.
I don't. That's not a comfortable way to fly.
It made me think about the Nightwing thing with the cradle or piggyback thing, and it's like they opted for just.
That's true. Yeah.
But how uncomfortable is that?
I think it's funny. Well, it's like wearing a flight harness or something.
Look at that. How uncomfortable. I don't know. I wouldn't want to do that.
The thing with Supergirl and Robin is funny because like they're acting cold to each other right away, and like later on, by the way, Al, there's like a flashback episode where they go on a date, and it's like goes really badly, and they hate each other, kind of thing. And that's the whole.
Well, yeah, because Robin's clearly in the closet, so it's pretty awkward for him to date a woman.
What are you talking about? He loves Barbara.
He's clearly gay in this. Are you kidding me?
What is he gay in this and not in Nightwing? What are you talking about?
He's straight in Nightwing.
Oh my god.
But in this, I don't get straight at all from him in this one.
He's dating Supergirl because he's hero worships over Superman.
That's true. It's just a vector by which he can reach Superman. Yeah, classic tale.
Marrying into the family. Yeah.
Okay, so but the adults go to rescue this little boy from Faust.
Billy Batson. I enjoyed
it. Turns out to be Billy.
Was that Billy Batson? Again, I did not read this at all. I was just looking at pictures. That's Billy Batson.
Why would Faust be fighting a little boy who can't? Faust has magically sealed his mouth shut.
So he can't say Shazam. First of all,
I know.
Okay, now that you bring it up, it falls into place more.
Second of all, he does it because Nezha is having them do shit for it. I think that's the only indication that it's Faust. By the way, when he's talking to him earlier, I do love how Batman and Superman are fighting Faust. Batman asks Superman, "You okay?" And then Superman says, "Getting there. Certainly recovered enough to beat a supervillain named Felix." I was like, "What is that mean?" Nice name, bro. Try Cal. Like a real man's name.
He's actually like a very powerful wizard, and you're weak to magic, so maybe be careful. I know his name's Felix, like Felix the cat or whatever, but yeah.
I do like. So again, I know. So the pacing is insanely fast, but like the quick on the fly moments of Batman having a plan all the time. Like I know it was kind of like I made a joke of it earlier with the whole like I'm just gonna trust that Superman won't crush my head, but like he did. I mean, that was a plan. It's a bad plan, but it's a plan. But like I do really like the quick like, oh, we're tied up. Oh, Superman, do this whistle thing that like it disrupts his. Like there's little shit like that. I'm just like he's using Superman as a tool in his utility belt.
Yeah.
In a lot of scenes, but because of the other heartfelt scenes, it doesn't feel like he's just being a dick. You know what I mean? Like it feels like he's just like, oh, we're a team now. So like I'm gonna do the role that I'm good at, which is coming up with a plan kind of thing.
No, it feels really organic. Yeah, like he's the battlefield general, and Superman's the muscle. Yeah, I mean,
it's awesome.
Pretty organic.
Yeah, I love the bickering between Robin and Supergirl, though. It's fun. Oh, sorry.
So and they go into the past, but then the Warriors of G think they're the enemy because
we've cut that off like 10 times.
Is there just again, don't know the story, but like, so there's just a hole in the sky that Supergirl knows about that takes you into the time stream. Like, there's just a crack in the time stream up there.
I don't know.
Has that just always been there?
Yeah.
Okay. Again, don't overthink it. They go to the past and they fight an airbender, a waterbender, an earthbender.
She says, "Hang on, we're breaking the time barrier." That's it.
Yeah, it's like how you break the sound barrier. It's like a sonic boom. This is
I think it's just
boom.
a class. I think Mark Waid is using these like silly over the top comic tropes as like throwaway gimmicks, just because that's kind of how they were used back then. Like, the cover of the comic would be like, Felix Faust is stopping Billy Batson from talking, and and Superman would be like, "Oh no, what do we do?" And Batman's like, "I have a plan." Like that whole like dumb shit. It's just all thrown in. It's like he's taking the whole kitchen sink of all the old fucking Superman and Batman comics and just throwing it together and just being like, yeah, they can travel through time. We'll just roll with it. And I kind of love it though because of that.
As they go back in time, you also see, so apparently the evil sword has been passed through kind of like a Leonidas-looking Greek guy, a Prussian general.
This is Sparta-ing,
a Roma nomad woman. So it just kind of goes through. Another thing, I guess foreshadowing, they're going through a time warp, and she's holding Robin by his cape. Like, no wonder you lose him.
She's that's later that she loses him first.
But I mean, also, if that's how she holds him through time portals, no wonder she slips.
Real quick, like art note again on the design of the costumes by Dan Mora. Robin's cape has like a little split in it, so it's like two little wings. I love it. Little points on both sides. That chick with the gypsy woman kind of looking thing.
I thought it was.
You can't say gypsy. You got to say Roma now. You can't say gypsy.
No, I literally thought it was the character gypsy.
That's what I was. Yeah, that's what I was referencing. The character, not the. Anyway,
maybe you still can't say it.
But she's handing money or coins to somebody with just a black jacket hand. You can't really see anything, but she's so reminiscent of a character from Starman. I'm like, am I supposed to be recognizing her? And I'm not sure.
It could be.
Anyway.
I mean, it could be. Starman is main DC canon, right? Could be.
Yeah. I just don't know.
Or maybe it's Esmeralda from The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Oh, that's what it is. Disney.
Maybe this is a cross universe reference. Yeah, but so they get to the past, and then they fight avatars.
They fight the avatars.
They
fight people from the Earth Kingdom, the Water Kingdom,
and the Fire Kingdom,
the Fire Nation.
And the Air Nomads.
And the Air Nomads.
And then in the meantime, Batman and Superman are torn and dragged into hell itself.
Yeah, which was pretty cool.
I thought that was interesting because Batman loses his mind and Superman stays real calm and he finds out where Felix is and throws a battering at him. And then there's that little beat.
I think it's affecting him differently or something.
No, it's because Batman's like, what did he say? He goes, very convincing. How did you know we weren't actually in hell? And then there's a ... because Superman doesn't believe in hell, of course. But,
is that what he says?
Yeah.
Wait, Batman believes in hell? Is Batman religious?
Apparently he believes in hell, at least. I mean...
But you can't believe with hell and not believe in I mean, how can you pick the made-up thing to believe in and not believe the other made-up thing that relies on that?
I do. So I liked the other note of that, which was Superman knew where Faust was because all he had to do was like listen for the fourth heartbeat because he knew Faust wouldn't leave them to like suffer without witnessing it. And I was like, that's awesome. That's
also Superman knows Trigon is real, right? How could he not believe in hell? He's literally
Superman believes in hell in terms of like Christianity. You know what I mean? Like I think he knows like magic and demons exist, but I don't think he's like God and and hell, you know.
I don't know.
So Batman believes in God, hell. That doesn't make any sense.
I don't know.
I guess a part of him does.
Maybe he did back then. You know, this story takes place a while ago. Maybe he's, he's had a lot of adventures.
All right. Anyway, next we're back in Switzerland where the Doom Patrol is doing something. They're attacking an old man. They're just attacking some poor old man wandering plants.
Well, the Doom Patrol goes after someone named Immortus, who I guess is an immortal, but he has dementia, so he doesn't. They thought
because he knows where Nezha's tomb, but he's the one who knows where the Devil's tomb is. Yeah. Which is, by the way, Corto Maltese is an Italian comic reference. By the way,
interesting.
It is. They use Corto.
It's
Corto
the most
Maltese.
famous Italian comic. Yeah, it's called Corto Maltese. It's about like a kind of a renegade sailor man. Yeah.
I wonder if that is where that comes from, because like
100% it comes from that.
That's a classic like old DC, like, let's just use this place every time we need a place for the heroes to go that's like remote.
Well, so the Italian comic I think started in the 70s, so maybe it's a reference to do you know when the DC one started? I don't know which one started
idea
first.
Where the reference to Corto Maltese came
one is a reference to the other. Gotta be.
Sure,
but
probably,
but I don't know which one came first. Let me Wikipedia. What's Wikipedia when that started?
So they save Billy, but like, or they get Billy out of the thralls of like Felix Faust, but he's immediately taken over by the Devil
Nezha,
which is gonna keep happening. So like it starts to be like their minds get taken over by the Devil Nezha.
I did like this is in a later issue, but Nezha can possess people, and he finally possesses Superman and starts like kicking the shit out of everyone. He's like, "Oh, yeah. I should have just done this from the very beginning."
And you're like, you used a bunch of villains to stop them when you could have just taken him in the
maybe you should have done that instead.
Maybe he wasn't strong enough right away.
But yeah, so Robin and Supergirl get the tea from the Avatar: The Last Airbender,
the Warriors of G.
The Warriors of Virtue that aren't kangaroos.
Also, can we talk about how like the Earthbender is a giant stocky dude? The Water Woman is made of water. Like, it's a little too on the nose, right?
Did you know that was Toph's original character design was supposed to be a big burly, like basically the person that was in the
wrestling match
in the play that they do.
Oh, really?
Like that's what her original.
Again, we're not referencing Avatar, the James Cameron films. We're talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender.
No, we're not talking about James Cameron's Avatar or James Cameron's Avatar: The Way of Water. We are talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender,
which is all about going to the Water Kingdom.
It seemed like the Earthbender in this had power over gravity as well, because he pretty much sucks Supergirl into the ground while she's mid-flight. But anyway,
I mean, you'd feel
he drags her down.
Is he increasing the mass of objects? Because that's powerful.
I guess maybe
that's huge.
Maybe.
Yeah, we'll never know.
So the reason the fuck breaks out is because they have the sword, and just having that sword in their hands is like they immediately go, "Oh, they must be connected." There's no way that sword's in someone's hands. That's not because Nezha gave it to them, kind of thing.
And I do like how Supergirl's like, Robin, just drop the fucking sword already.
But one of I actually like the part where Dick takes his mask off and he's just like, listen. Yeah. But he also, when he takes the mask off and he goes, "My name's Robin." And you're like, no, it's not.
Well, I also, the funny thing too is like his mask is just his eye. It's like you're not.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess it's just like honesty. I don't know.
It's just like, it's just, you're not revealing a lot.
It's a gesture, Al.
It is. All right. But then they find out where the tomb is, and then they also find out that you have to be inside to lock the tomb. It locks from the inside. Because that's just great.
So they find out that.
Anytime you design a jail, you want to make sure it locks from the inside of the cell.
It takes sacrifice to beat this villain.
Yeah. Didn't have to. It was
Supergirl and Robin are the only ones with this knowledge. And they travel back to the future.
And in the present, look at that. They still fly this. I don't like that way to fly.
See, I thought it would be a fun juxtaposition if Batman was cradled by Superman, because they love each other.
He should have been. Yeah, just cradle him like that.
I was like, that would have been a perfect, like, Supergirl and Robin are cold with each other, and, like, he's hanging by his armpits, and then when you cut to Superman and Batman, he's like, "Let's go, Batman! Come on, buddy!" And he, like, picks him up. That would have been really cute.
They get to Central City.
Superman goes, "Why do you think I keep you around?" And Batman said, "I assumed it was for Robin's hero worship."
Oh, nice.
So
they go to Central City, and the Flash is fighting. Flash villains are so corny. They're all just corny as fuck. This one's a Mirror Man.
I love Mirror Master.
I like a lot of Flash's villains. He in terms of like heroes that have a deep bench of like crazy, wacky villains to fight, he's up there with Batman. Like,
but they're all contrived. This whole idea that you can defeat Flash by making him slip on ice or run through a mirror.
I'm not saying it makes sense.
Contrived.
I'm just saying I love that he has a deep bench of like silly villains that he can pull from, because it makes it, and they're taken more seriously or less seriously depending on who's writing the comic or whatever. But like, I enjoy the fact that he's got like a bunch of. It's kind of what made the Flash comic fun.
I think out of all the non-speedster villains the Flash has, Mirror Master is the one that could probably hold his own the best, because he can literally just basically teleport all over the place to whatever.
And that's moving quickly, right?
Yeah.
Well, pre-Mindwipe Dr. Light was apparently pretty difficult to deal with.
You can control light. That probably would also
we don't talk about any crises, identity included, on this show.
Okay, and then all nearby, Diana's been turned to clay by someone who looks like Merlin but is named Dr. Alchemy.
Dr. Alchemy, yes.
Yeah, Flash villain, yeah. And then Green Lantern shows up and he's like, "Hey, guess what? I'm not on your side." And then basically Batman starts to figure out, like, "Hey, wait a second. There's no way the Demon Nezha knows this much about everything, like what's going on." And we find out that
because
like, everything's fine.
Because he's honey-potted Alfred.
Yep.
Yeah. Nezha's enormous. He's like
Patrick. I mean, look at that man.
Really tall.
I mean, look at that guy.
I mean, on a scale of Snyder Zeus.
Oh, he breaks the scale. Look at that. He's larger than Snyder Zeus and still has
chiseled. Are you kidding? Do you see how big Zeus was in that movie?
I guess he was pretty big. Yeah, he was. Well, they're similar size.
And they're very close. They're very close in size.
To me, what wins it for Nezha is his hair. Look at that flowing hair.
Oh yeah, it's just gorgeous.
That wins it for me.
Just gorgeous locks.
Doesn't Nezha also later, doesn't he make some comment like, oh, like when they're fighting Green Lantern, he makes some comment like, oh yeah, I should have taken over the heroes from the beginning. And it's like, well, yeah.
Yeah,
you should have, buddy.
And then Nezha inexplicably doesn't kill Batman when he has the chance. He just throws him to the side.
Just don't think about it.
And we've got another mech suit, Green Lantern, which I do love Dan Mora's art, but not as interesting as the Far Sector.
Oh, no. Yeah, not as interesting.
Yeah, well, Far Sector's mechs had like a shield and a sword and a full outfit. Yeah.
It's also like, I loved that, you know, depending on the artist, like Kyle always had this kind of thing going on. Like he was more of the artist and more like crazy with his designs. Far Sector was very thought out in terms of like why did she have a giant Gundam suit? It's because she's a nerd and likes Gundam, you know, like kind of thing. Like there was more, and like the joke is that Hal Jordan has this powerful thing, but all he ever made was like big baseball bats and catcher's mitts and and race cars and shit, you know, kind of thing. Like, and then like the John Stewart has the military thing, so he's always making rifles and guns and tanks. And
he's like an architect, right? It's like all very specific, detailed stuff.
Yeah, very, very architectural.
Well, he was an engineer, right? Wasn't he like a military engineer?
Yeah, I think he was an engineer.
Yeah.
This is out of character for Hal, is all I'm saying. Like, it doesn't really like the giant mech suit.
Because he's evil. He's indulging in a little more imagination.
That's what I'm saying. It'd be kind of interesting. Mm-hmm. What if this was like a big Demon Nezha body around his body? That would be cool. That's all I'm saying. Like, cool, a little tiny bit more thought into like what this could have been would have been fun.
Well, but I don't think the devil would have wanted that. I mean, I don't think he would have wanted that.
Why not?
Because it's him. You know, I wouldn't want Patrick to wear me to battle. That'd be weird.
Why not?
It'd be strange if he wore a me suit to go fight Superman.
I wear U suits all the time. I've got a whole suit.
I just think it would be strange. I think it would be strange. Also, I don't think Hal could pull off Nezha. To be honest,
Hal sucks, man. He
does. He sucks.
I never liked Hal.
Can we? I know we've already talked about Hal killing everyone. How bizarre is it that he's still a hero employed as a hero?
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
but like he did that to Central City and is now just a Green Lantern again.
Dude, when Green Lantern Rebirth came out, I was like, that was the one that I was like, even though I love Wally, and when Barry came back to life with Flash Rebirth, like I was like, oh, fuck you. I love Wally. Like I don't want Barry, but I'm not like a huge Green Lantern fan. I didn't like really dip into those books too much, but the most I ever did was with Kyle, and most of it was from Justice League and other things Kyle was in. But he was so much a better, like, interesting character to me, and Hal was always so boring. Like, I never read a Green Lantern comic in my life really until Hal went crazy and Kyle took over.
To me, it's
what's
more,
happening? This is amazing.
To me, it's more like, how do you redeem? This is like a Naruto, like Orochimaru's redemption at the end. Like, this man was a villain who murdered people. How is he
Hal coming back was blamed on Parallax? So, like, it was like, that wasn't you. Like, that was the justification.
Oh, great. Well, then whatever. That's the difference. It's manslaughter and homicide. You got to do time. You still got to do time.
I mean, it wasn't him at all, though. It was like it was just his body. You know?
I don't understand why they did it at all, because he was already the Spectre, so he already had like a role to play.
Yeah, he had already, like, that's another thing.
That was
Green
kind of
Lantern came back. It was like he had never really been gone, so I wasn't like really, really mad that they were bringing him back to life, because he was like, he went from Hal Jordan to like Parallax, the villain,
and then
to like
he was Spectre for
then to the Spectre, and he was just like, he was always kind of present in DC Comics. So when they eventually brought him back, I was like, I'm annoyed by this because I love Kyle, but I don't like. At least you're not just like inexplicably bringing someone back to life. But when they did it to Barry, I was like, all right, I get this. Like, why are you doing this? You know, kind of. He like his death was like a huge deal in the Crisis on Infinite Earths. Like, it, I don't know, kind of. I obviously made Wally West one of the best. It made Flash interesting again because it was Wally West now, and I don't. It was just the whole thing didn't sit well with me.
I mean, it must have to do. Maybe Green Lantern comics with Kyle weren't selling like they wanted them to, so it has to be something editorial.
I mean, he had gone through a lot of recent changes. Like, he did this like Ion thing, and then he become like, I am the Green Lantern of all Green Lanterns kind of. It was very weird. He had a lot of like over the top story arcs close to the end of that, so I can imagine them going like, where the fuck are we going with this character? Because we've kind of written ourselves into a corner, kind of thing.
I do remember the Green Lantern Rebirth, out of your point about redemption, was they really went out of their way, because John Stewart gets possessed by Parallax at one point for just like a few minutes, and he totally loses control. And it's like, wow, Hal's willpower must be so amazing to have been fighting that thing for years.
Oh, no, they definitely hammered it. Yeah, they hammered it home, though. He was not, it's not him doing it, but it's still...
He's still an asshole, though.
I don't know. Okay, so anyway, they fight Green Lantern.
Anyway,
the bit about Nezha being in the prison for like 3 millennia was pretty awesome. And I know it was short, but it was like the quick, like, I basically spent 3,000 years writing my own magical spell to get out of this impossible prison.
Yeah, so that's,
and I fucking love that.
I did love that as well, except not to overthink it. If he spent that long learning the spell, I would say he probably has that spell pretty well memorized. So if you're just putting him back into the same cell, can't he just get right out of that?
No, like, immediately. No.
Like, they needed some other layer.
Did they not cover that somehow?
I don't think they did. I think they just assumed if he gets back in there, we'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's a classic plot hole.
It'd be great if the last issue of this was just him back in the cell and his runes are still written there.
And he's just like, yeah, I got it.
I'll just press here and I'm out.
Or at the very least, it'll take him 100 years instead of 3,000. You know, like kind of like it's just not going to take him as long. He's already done it once.
Okay.
Isn't there not some wrinkle like with like this Phantom Zone projector that makes it like it's not going to happen again?
None of it matters. It doesn't matter.
Oh, that's so sad. Come on, Mark Waid, write better.
So
that being said, it's such a good story. I didn't notice.
Supergirl's flying back through time with the info, and
in her defense, she's holding Robin by the armpit when she loses him, not by his cape.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Well,
but if she'd been cradling him, probably would have made it through with her.
Or if she had just been paying attention and not explaining to Robin what a time storm was.
I don't know why she has to
hold on tight. Now let me expand upon what that means.
Yeah, I don't know why she has to woman-splain what a time stream is.
He's not the one that needs to hold on tight.
Yeah, she dropped him.
You are.
She dropped him.
Travelers encounter these sometime. Some random idiots trying to change history or steal from the past. Or
Robin, where'd you go?
Turbulence in the time. Whoa,
Robin! No.
I mean, I was upset because it's Robin, so I'm very upset.
Also, why not fly after him?
Yeah, why not fly after him? I don't know.
I think she has to stay on the path to get back. Like if she went after him, then
I guess she's like,
and she needs to get the information back to the team. Now.
But it's time.
But then can't you break the time barrier again when you catch him? Then re-break the time barrier?
No, you'd lose the trail.
These are the wrong questions we're asking.
This is why I don't like time travel. This is why I don't like Endgame. Like, why can't you just why wouldn't they reappear at the same time they disappeared? You know what I mean? Why would there be any time lapsed in the present?
That's why you don't do a time travel story ever.
Unless it's about time travel. Unless your story is specifically about time travel, like Back to the Future.
Back to the Future was not about time travel. It was about trying to fuck your mom. Time travel was incidental to the main core.
It was about the inappropriate relationship between an old man scientist and a teenage boy.
Well, in my opinion, and this is spoilers, but this show's been out for
who wants to fuck his mom?
But Dark on Netflix was one of the best time travel
things I've
ever
watched. Patrick, you recommended that to me like last month. I still have not been able to get through the first episode.
You have to get through. Yeah, it's about time travel. It's not a horror movie.
I watch it 5 minutes at a time and just turn it off after 5 minutes every time. I can't.
As far as time travel things go, like they really do make the lore and science so that it's not really breaking any.
Here's the key, and we've said this multiple times in this book. You're not supposed to think that hard about the plot. Like you're just supposed to roll along the train of this story and just keep having fun with your superhero friends. And as long as you keep that in mind, you're gonna have a good time. If you start breaking down,
break it down.
The inaccuracies and the plot holes, like you're just gonna, you're not gonna have fun with this.
Speaking about fun, superhero time, we get to my favorite part of this run when Batman. Well, Superman's getting his ass kicked by Green Lantern because Green Lantern's energy is now magical because of Nezha, and Batman shows up. And Batman has the idea of being like, well, this motherfucker's willpower is more powerful than ours. But if we combine our willpower and we both focus on the same thing, they basically steal the ring off of Green Lantern. And I guess because it's magical, when it goes onto their finger, it fuses them together, and so you got a Batman Superman.
Yeah, well, he makes the point that also Hal's will isn't as strong as it normally would be because it's being manipulated by the devil.
Yeah.
So he makes if that it was point Hal,
too. They'd never be able to pull that ring with their own. And also, they do really emphasize how much they're struggling to get it off of his hand just by their willpower alone.
Yeah.
In the scene when they do it, which is fun, which is really cool. But again, anything that makes Hal seem awesome, I'm kind of against. So, yeah,
I do love how when they take the ring and they fuse together, it's that badass shot of them that's up on the screen right now if you're watching YouTube. And then the next panel is literally just Hal passed out on the ground, and it's just Nezha's feet. And he says, "I see, I chose my champion poorly."
You chose. It's the knight from the Last Crusade.
Yeah, but then he reveals his A team of the other heroes.
Yeah, who's on that A team? Wally West,
Martian Manhunter, and Donna Troy, Donna's one of those characters that I would love to love. I want to love her, but I
want to as well. I've always felt the same way.
One of those characters where I feel like they always talk about how strong she is, but she always gets her ass kicked. Always. Like I've never seen her do anything impressive.
I'm the same way. That being said, I really want to read World's Finest Teen Titans because that's also supposed to be a really fun book.
Check that out.
It's my next one. It's my next on the list.
Donna looks impressive just standing there. Like everybody just
looks like I love her character designs. I love her different costumes. She's a more tortured version of Wonder Woman. I really want to love her, but I'm honestly a bigger fan of Cassie than Donna Troy.
I agree.
Oh well, Cassie's a better suit. Oh yeah, well she's
also recently there's the Wonder Woman's daughter is like a thing now, and then also
Yara.
The new Wonder Girl comic with the Brazilian Wonder Woman. She was fun. That's Yara. That's Yara. I'm talking. So there's a new character.
That's actually Wonder Woman's daughter, right? It's like being raised.
I barely know about her, so I don't know if I can answer these questions accurately. But to my knowledge, it's actually her daughter, and I think her name is Trinity right now. I could be wrong. I don't know. Or maybe the book's just called Trinity. I don't know. But at any rate, like one of the stories is that they're kind of, and she's kind of like a new hit character that people are really liking apparently. So like, I'm interested. I'm going to check this out, but I have not checked it out yet. So I don't know. I don't have any answers for you other than that. I know there's like an arc where it has some flashbacks with or flash forwards rather, where like Damian is Batman and John is Superman, and they're like, kind of like they're hanging out together. But then there's also flashbacks of like them hanging out with her when she's like a baby and like taking care of her and stuff. So I mean that it sounds fun. That's all I'm saying. I'm like, oh, interesting. Okay, I'm intrigued. But yeah, there's a lot of newer Wonder Woman characters that aren't Wonder Woman that I'm like, oh yeah, I like this idea. And Donna Troy was always one of those and just never quite nailed it for me.
Never got there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Back to the comic. So going back to the Toriyama stuff we talked about, Dragon Ball Z was the first time that people fused using jewelry because the Potara earrings allowed Goku and Vegeta to Vegeta. Everybody pronounces it Vegeta. And it allowed them to fuse into Gogeta. Or Vegito. One of those two.
Vegito?
Was it Vegito?
I think it's
Vegito is the Potara earrings.
Gogeta's the non-Potara.
Patty coming
fusion
in with
dance version.
Patty coming in with the hard knowledge.
Well, I always forget which one's which, but yeah, one of them is the fusion ha dance, and one of them is the Potara earrings. I think you're right. I think Vegito is the Potara earring.
I think Vegito is the stronger one, I believe.
Yeah. Well, because the Potara earrings are the purest form of a fusion.
Of course.
Real quick note, when Superman, Batman fusion with a Green Lantern ring is fighting all the heroes, to take out Wally West, they put really heavy green boots on his feet. That's it. Just thought it was adorable. They also have only they only have until the power ring runs out of power until their fusion breaks, by the way. So they decide, knowing that Batman is one half of this fusion, they decide to fly Nezha into space with only 6% of power left, and it's rapidly dropping. And I'm like, that was a weird choice. Well,
because they can't stay
Batman. He can't even re-enter let alone survive space. But like, you're gonna re-enter the atmosphere?
No, he's got a little gas mask he can put on.
I don't know.
You can put a little gas mask. They put a little kind of mute cover over Black Canary's mouth, which is wonderful imagery for how our patriarchy shuts women up and robs them of their voice in our society.
True.
Well, I mean, it's the equivalent of little green heavy boots for Kid Flash,
Yeah. Because the patriarchy also makes it so children can't run and express themselves.
So I really do enjoy the end of this issue because Supergirl comes smashing back out of time and just like crushes Ness. And just, like Superman and Batman are getting choked out. He's like, you both. And she's just like, I am fucking ripping this guy a new asshole. And I know she's mad because she lost Robin, because even though they're cold to each other, she does like him and doesn't want him to die, and now feels horribly guilty that she lost him in the time stream. So that's definitely, she's got some emotions going on. But man, her slamming him into the side of that mountain, and then just like the scene of her walking out of the rock and rubble with dragging him behind. Look at her face,
just looks badass.
Great.
Yeah, she just looks badass as hell.
Well, I like it because it just doesn't show. Well, it just shows her flying, hit him hard, but then she says, "I couldn't take one more punch," implying they were fighting at super speed.
Yes, there's so much implied in in just that 1 second. It's like a few panels, basically.
Yeah.
There's also that scene of her carrying him out of the rubble. I don't know if you guys see this, but my brain immediately went that's very Olivier Coipel from Legion and Legion Lost and very old school, just the limping forward and the way, I don't know, her body language is just screaming Coipel to me right there. And or Coipel. Is it Coipel? I don't know.
It's Coipel, I think. But I also
really loved it. I was like, oh, that's so good.
But I like fights like this that they're not just one hero facing off against one villain. It takes Batman and Superman and they lose to the devil. So then they fuse and they lose to the devil. And then Superman, I like the ones that are just real team efforts of it takes 5 or 6 of these heroes to bring down the devil. Yeah. Because it emphasizes how strong,
yeah, for sure,
imposing of an enemy
yeah.
they are. Yeah.
It's kind of the fun of this book where like, and we were mentioning this with the Nightwing arc that we covered, but just the very casual way that other heroes are just thrown. This is a Batman Superman book. Already you've got Robin and Supergirl mixed in with it. Mainly Robin, but Supergirl's there for the majority of this arc at least. But then also the Doom Patrol's thrown in there, like, and then like, you know, Wally and Donna and like, you know, and Martian Manhunt. They're just throwing other hero, Billy Batson. They're just throwing all. It's like the whole DC universe could just like pop up at any second, and it's just what Batman and Superman are doing that makes it their book. It's not like it's a team book or something like that, but it's really fun just throwing everything, just throwing every idea at the wall and seeing what sticks. And I just love it. Like that kind of fun superhero nature of like, yeah, these guys are out here. Why wouldn't they be involved? Like, we need help with this one specific task. Of course we'd go to the Doom Patrol. Like, of course, you know, like it's just, that's how comics should be written. I feel like, you know, like you have all of these characters that can do all of these amazing things.
I think that's a general trend. It's when we were young, it was much more segmented. I think now it's a more, I think it's just the way comics have developed. It's just a general trend now that even individual hero comics just feature.
That's what I'm saying is I love that trend.
All right, let's get to the
tomb.
Tomb
They can't decide. So Supergirl beats the Nezha unconscious. They got him in the tomb. And they're, of course, arguing about who's going to sacrifice himself to lock him in the tomb.
Yeah, so she reveals that one of them has to go in and close the door from the inside.
And she wants to go in because if she goes in, she doesn't have to tell him that she lost Robin.
Exactly.
No, if she goes in, it's punishment for the fact that she lost Robin.
Well, and she was going to go in before telling them, so she wouldn't have had to reveal. Yeah. Imagine if she just went in there for millennia and Batman's like, well, where's Robin? That's just it.
If she had done what she wanted, that would have literally happened.
Yeah, that's.
Well, where did?
But instead, they kind of call her bluff, and she goes like, "Well, I lost Robin in the time stream." But then Superman does a heel turn because it turns out, and Nezha takes him over. And again, the devil makes that comment Patrick mentioned, which is, you know, why didn't I just take over Superman to begin with? Which is, I don't know, buddy. Why didn't you?
Why didn't you? Or why didn't you take over Billy Batson instead of Felix Faust? I don't know. Whatever.
Why doesn't he take over everybody in that room?
He wasn't taking over the villains, though, was he? He was just like nudging
them.
They don't
in the explain right that. They don't explain.
But he was controlling bystanders. Like he had a whole population of people he was turning.
Yeah.
First of all, why doesn't he just take over everybody in that cave right now?
Guess there's a limit to his powers. I don't know. Well, because then we learn that he adapts. So
it's never been explained very well, and this plot is rolling along too quickly to stop and explain it. So I don't have an answer.
I did enjoy how Robot Man, like Superman, is fighting, and then other Doom Patrol members are taking over, and Robot Man's like, "Well, I'm just gonna punch this demon in the face and see what happens," and he like KOs the guy. I did like that panel. Because Robot Man didn't expect that to happen, I guess. Because
he's like, at least I went down swinging, and he punches him straight in the face, and the demon Nezha is like, oh shit.
I wanted to bring up too. I like the devil's design. Like his face looks kind of like a classic Chinese ogre or Japanese oni with like the always snarling teeth and stuff. I kind of like the design of his face too, and like the beady eye, the wee beady eyes.
Yes.
Yeah, he's got that that Joker redesign from Batman the Animated Series kind of eyebrows.
And then he has kind of like Pacific Islander Dwayne Johnson tattoos on his shoulder for some reason.
Yeah, he's a cool looking character for sure.
He
I don't think Dan Moore tried super hard. He's like, I need to make the devil. Okay, sure. You know, like it's not like he went out like and Al, you were saying earlier, it took you a long time to go, oh, this isn't Trigon.
I mean, he looks like Trigon. It's just a giant red devil with
it's
horns.
just a stereotypical devil with horns, but at the same time, there's some nuance there that makes it kind of fun.
Also, why does Robot wear boxer briefs? What's he hiding?
He's packing something down there. You don't know that?
He's a robot.
It's a big robot dick.
I bet it's a smooth metal plate down there. What's he hiding?
No, he's definitely got like a piston down there.
It's the only thing Dr. Calder kept intact.
Boy, that's really tragic. That is really tragic. That is sad.
The human, you're perfectly like the most sensitive part of your body is still there, but everything else.
That is
so if you get a fight, don't get kicked in the balls because you will drop. So the end of this arc is basically Superman's like, "Oh, I have a plan," and he zips off to the Fortress of Solitude and comes.
I wonder
what could
it be? Oh, it's the Phantom Zone projector, which you use instead of killing people. Like, do you have a list of people that are in there? Do you know where they are?
Yeah, I mean,
How
like,
long
I've
are they
always thought
supposed
about
to be
that. I'm
in
like,
there?
do you have does he have a catalog? Does he have a spreadsheet of every villain he's put into the Phantom Zone? Because I feel like, because in his mind, he's like, they're lost for eternity and nothingness. But there's been story arcs where they're like, all the people in the Phantom Zone are basically like, one, there's Phantom Zone like demons and shit like floating around and like fucking with them and shit.
Not like,
but so it's horrifying. But there's also like little camps of people and like they hang out. And I'm like, if you just dump all of these villains into the Phantom Zone, at some point are they just not hanging out and going like, okay, we can figure this out?
Well, they have to have done. They must have done a storyline about that, right? Where they all come. I mean, the latest Young Justice season does
Superman
talk about
kind of touched on it.
But the latest Young Justice season does kind of touch on like Zod's clan kind of has a society in the Phantom Zone, and then they break out.
I just don't understand why it'd be different if it was like a place that they go to and they're rehabilitated or something, but it's literally just like, instead of killing you, I'm going to send you into a void of fucking nothingness where you're going to lose your mind. And if you ever escape, you're going to be way more dangerous.
Patrick, that is our penal system in the U.S. that you.
That's what I'm saying, though. He's fucking Superman. He needs to come up with a better alternative.
You know what, Patrick? The thing that has always like in this vein that has always like not driven me crazy, but just like always gnawed at me was Mon-El, because like. Yes. So in the comics, like when my father was like a child and reading comic books, Superboy put Mon-El into the Phantom Zone because he was dying of lead poisoning, and then the classic, and so like he's like frozen in time, so like he's not like kind of the same thing. If Superman was dying of kryptonite poisoning and he went in there, he would still be in that state, but he would be like frozen in time, and like eventually. The idea is that Superman would have found some sort of cure and pulled him out of the Phantom Zone. But he doesn't. And then 1,000 years in the future, the Legion of Superheroes is like, hey, we have like a ghost and like, let's pull this, like, let's figure out what this is. And they find out it's Mon-El and they take him out. And with their technology, they immediately heal him. But Superman's no longer around kind of thing. But it's just one of those things where it's like, so Superman put this like hero into the Phantom Zone, knowing what else was in there, and not only all the other villains, but all the horrible shit that's in the Phantom Zone, and then just kind of forgot about him. Didn't do anything.
Completely forgot about
over the entire span of his life, and then died while this guy is still in the Phantom Zone. Like that's insane.
Well, not only that,
it's always sat weird with me. I'm just like, and Mon-El just kind of like brushes it off, like, "Hey, thank God I'm out of there. Oh, thanks for healing me."
But
and you're
Joe,
like,
not only
do you
that,
not hate Superman forever after that?
But he's also stuck in stasis with a like at death's door, like suffering from lead poisoning for a million years,
technically. But yeah, I mean, like, but it's I don't know.
The Phantom Zone is weird because it's just like, I won't kill you, so instead you'll just be in eternity prison.
It's the equivalent of like Mr. Freeze and his wife. It's just like he sticks her in a tube, and then like maybe one day, and then he just
even
dies.
That's not even.
It's not as bad. It's not as bad.
He's unconscious. Like you're just floating in nothingness, and apparently there's Phantom Zone monsters you have to avoid.
It's just never fucked up and crazy.
I've never understood. I don't know.
Okay, but let's finish this.
Yeah.
Let's finish this.
So Superman. So the impetus to this end scene is that Nezha starts breaking out of the Phantom Zone somehow. So they realize that they need to get like this little disc into the prison, and Superman grabs it before Supergirl can sacrifice herself to do it. Kind of thing. And I kind of hinted at it earlier, or I mentioned it earlier, but it's all based on the idea that like Superman knows or trusts that Batman will realize that he brought the Phantom Zone projector in there with him, and therefore they could get him out, kind of thing, which I thought was pretty cool. You know, like that was a cool, fun way to like seal the door and like not sacrifice somebody. But yeah, that was.
It'd be funny if Batman didn't notice it though. Just like,
shit, I mean, that Superman literally took you long enough, and I was like, that's kind of funny. I mean, like, you know, kind of thing.
But it'd be funny if Batman was just kind of like, you know, a tear down his cheek, like we lost a good one
and
today.
I guess that's the end of Superman.
Also, Patrick, to your earlier point, the magic runes are still in that prison.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, he could just reopen that door immediately. Also, it's convenient that as Superman gets dragged into the Phantom Zone, he's still corporeal enough to destroy the projector so that Nezha can't use it.
So, I mean, again, you can call it convenient, but that's always been a thing with the Phantom Zone. Like, you don't, like, fade away instantly. Like,
so it's always been
like, you've classically had time to be like, I'm going to say goodbye, or, you know, this is happening at the same time kind of thing. But I kind of love that, actually. Superman like beaming himself with a Phantom Zone projector and then just like blasting it with his heat vision before he fully fades away. I thought that was fucking cool.
And then they destroy the mountain around the cell, which is kind of like, I guess that does something.
Well, I guess they don't want people to have access to the door, but it's at the same time, it's just like, why don't you?
Seems like overkill. I mean, it's magically sealed.
It's a magical door anyway, though. So like, is it locked that position on the Earth?
I don't know. It doesn't seem necessary.
No one broke into the tomb. He broke out of the tomb. So I don't know why.
It just doesn't seem necessary.
Don't think.
Doesn't seem necessary.
Yeah.
But then they decide.
It just feels like that would be in a fun, like, I'm going to take this chunk of rock that has this doorway on it to the Fortress of Solitude kind of ending. You know, like that would have been a fun little, like, and I'm just going to watch this door all the time. Because he might come out, you know?
Yeah. Or, you know,
that would have been a fun Superman kind of thing that he would do.
Or take the door to the Batcave and put it next to the T-Rex.
Oh, you could do that too. Because Batman's going to be ever vigilant, but he's sadly mortal compared to Superman. So probably better Fortress of Solitude, I think.
We'll just get one of the billion magic users in the DC universe. Be like, hey, what do we fucking do with this demon? I don't know.
We don't have any
idea. Where was Zatara in all of this? Call her.
Yeah, Zatanna?
Dr. Fate.
Well, at this
which
point,
one's which? Is Zatanna the man or the woman? Zatanna's the woman.
Zatara's
the man.
Well, Zatara's the father.
Zatanna is the woman. Okay,
is the daughter.
God.
I
do you not know who
tomato Zatanna Zatara? You know what I mean?
How dare you? Do you not watch Young Justice? I know the answer is yes. So let's get to how we felt about this comic overall.
Oh,
wait a minute.
Meant
to be a serious villain.
Hold on, guys. I can't talk about it. Like, I've got this feedback in my right ear. Are you guys hearing this too? It's this kind of. Does this pass the Bechdel test? The Bechdel test. The Bechdel test. Does this pass the Bechdel test? The answer is no. This one doesn't. This one does not.
No,
in any shape or form whatsoever. Doesn't pass the Bechdel test.
I mean, I know there's a lot of guest spots, but of the four main characters, only one's a woman. So, I mean, you know, you're already...
so Supergirl isn't a sexy lamppost, but basically every other woman is a sexy lamppost other than Supergirl. Or no, Elastic Woman. Elastic Woman isn't, I guess.
Elastic Woman.
I don't think so.
But there's no Bechdel test. Like women, there's no two women speaking a word to each other in any of this.
Oh, not at all. But I don't agree with your sexy lamp evaluation.
I mean, Donna Troy and Black Canary are basically sexy lamps. I don't think they even have a line of dialogue.
They're just heroes.
They are sexy lamps. Yes, they are sexy lamps. They don't have a single line of dialogue, so they would qualify. You could make a sexy lamp version of Black Canary and throw her in there, and it wouldn't have made a difference to the story at all.
Yeah, but at the same note, Wally and Martian Manhunter are also
they're also sexy lamps. Yeah, they're man lamps, but they're sexy lamps.
That's true.
I'm just saying the sexy lamp has been thrown around for men and females in this book. I don't think it counts.
I can't stress enough that everybody's beautiful in this book. Everyone is a beautiful human being.
Majestically beautiful in this book.
There isn't like 8% body fat shared between everybody in this. Like there's 0% body fat in this book.
They're superheroes. Of course they don't.
They're all just beautiful. No, that's not true. Alfred's got a paunch.
He's not a superhero, bro. He's a regular
He's a
guy.
billionaire.
Well, I just meant my comment about there isn't an ounce of body fat in the comic is wrong because there's some of the
in the comic, yeah.
Some of the supporting.
I pointed out that homely looking woman in the background of Jimmy Olsen's hand.
Yeah. Okay. Letter grades. Yeah. I mean, I recommend it. It's a B. It's a B. Like it's nothing amazing,
letter
but it's
grades
just a ton
at the
of fun.
beginning. We're doing pass fail right now.
Oh, yeah. Pass. It's a pass. Pass fail.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, again, I know we didn't actually really super go into the art, but it saves this book. It makes the book fun to read. Like the classic, like, I mean, there's certain people that I'm like, I hold these people on a pedestal in terms of like their ability to just draw fucking any superhero and it makes sense kind of thing, like standing next to each other. And Dan Mora is one of those people, and he's very new to the scene. Ivan Reis is like kind of another one that's really new-ish, like, you know, in comparison to my lifetime, I guess, that can just kind of draw that classic superhero. But he has way more Alan Davis kind of influences in his art, which I love, because again, Alan Davis is one of those classic, like, he can just draw superheroes for days and just everyone looks perfect. You know, Metamorpho standing next to Superman, sitting next to Wonder Woman, standing next to Donna Troy. Like, it all just jives and it makes sense. But Dan Mora is relatively new to comics from what we can tell. And I really enjoy his art, man. It's just fun superhero art. It's just unapologetically superhero, and it doesn't over-sexualize either of the sexes. It just kind of equally makes them homogeneously attractive, you know.
They're
all wearing tights. They're hot, you know.
His physiques remind me a lot of the Young Justice show, kind of. You know, they have sort of like angular shoulders and that kind of build.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
One thing that we never, and I mentioned the cape earlier with Robin, but like what I didn't mention is I love the way he has Batman's cape present as a thing, but it's usually like very angular and Batwing like, and kind of like angled in such a way where it's not in the way a lot of the time, which I thought was really fun use of that. I don't know, giant billowing thing that can be behind it. So if he needs it to be like throwing around the character, he does it. But if he doesn't, it's kind of like thrown over the shoulders and just kind of very kind of thin bat wings kind of flying off the back of his body. Like you don't see much of the cape kind of thing. So again, letter grades. We should be doing that at the beginning because Al doesn't remember anything from.
No, we do letter grades at the end. But then we did pass fail. No, I don't understand. Yes. Anyway, it's a B. I pass it, and it's a B.
B minus. It's a B minus. I recommend it. It's a B minus though. I think you're right. If the artist was different, the art is really a strong.
The artist could be different, and it could still be good. But this book rests on the art.
Yeah, the story.
So, like, I'm not saying it needs Dan Mora. It just needs consistently good art.
Yeah, the story doesn't carry.
I typically don't like reading about like tales that happened back in the day that weren't part of the continuity, but it's like, hey, this is what they were up. But at this point, the DC fucking universe is such a goddamn mess. I don't know what the fuck's going on. That this was really refreshing just to be like, okay,
exactly. Maybe that's what it is.
It's a straightforward.
Patty, I think you might have hit that on the head.
So yes, recommend, but like it's like a B minus, might be a little harsh.
Yeah, I definitely recommend. I'm gonna recommend on this.
Recommend.
No, this isn't something, I would never tell anybody who just told me I want to read my first comic book. Like this isn't in the top 10.
No, and
but if you want to just read a reminiscent of the past, kind of old school superhero romp, sure, go for that. It's all your favorite DC heroes.
On it, and the way this can, like, I just texted you guys and was like, I'm just having a lot of fun reading this book. Like, it's not, I'm not going like, hey, this is fantastic, or we need to read it. Oh fuck, have you read something? Have you read Something Is Killing the Children? Like, I wasn't like that. I was just like,
right, yeah,
it's just fun. This is a fun book. I'm having a fun time.
Say, yeah, I did keep reading it, and the next story arc is about Superman getting a sidekick, and it's pretty
fun. Really fun, and it ties into Kingdom Come in a circumspect kind of way initially, and then it gets a little more heavily tied into Kingdom Come towards the end of those arcs, and it's really good, and I really had fun. So
is his new sidekick Gog or Magog?
No,
Magog.
It's Magog.
Boy Thunder.
Get your terms right. But yeah, it's really good. It's really fun, and it was fun kind of revisiting the Kingdom Come characters, but in a different, I don't know, angle.
Yeah. Yes.
But yeah, good book.
All right.
World's Finest. I had a fun time.
World's Finest. I think we did
That's it. That was it.
I think we did it. I think we did it, boys. We did comics.
Good journey, listeners. Couchers.
Good. Oh, Couchers. Oh, we have a name for them?
The two people who listen are Couchers.
Yeah. All right. Goodbye, everybody.